Hi, this is Bett Bollhoefer for Integral Leadership in Action, where this is the Writer Support Pod, and we're super excited to do a visioning session. Let's hand it over to Karen Vorhees to lead our session today.
Well, thank you for coming. We've been meeting, I think, for a little over a year. I think we started this particular support pod in June of last year. And we are now at a point where we are evolving very quickly into our next phase. This is our Integral Creative Writer Support Pod 2.0, starting now because we have been making connections. Bett and I went to the Embodied Integral Conference in April, and oh my God, did we make connections there. And then our connections made connection, and Bett made connections, and Bett's vision and my vision and our vision for these support pods, suddenly we have this landscape into which we can grow and explore. And specifically for this group, we are writers, creative writers, and we're integral creative writers. And some of the avenues that have opened for this group are really exciting. Specifically about Cosmos Co-operative, and I'll get into the details about that soon. But I thought, let's see. You know, I was going to invite people to go around and spend a minute saying our name and where we are and what core interest in one or two sentences keeps us coming back. But I'm thinking we all know each other pretty well by now. I think we can skip that. So I will move to my script and say, yeah, we were just talking about ILiA and how exciting that we now have a dedicated Zoom channel for this support pod, which Bett has arranged through ILiA. ILiA is sponsoring this. ILiA is paying for it. This is hosted by ILiA. This is among the things that ILiA exists to do. Integral leadership in action. To support integral projects, to create places where people like us can find like-minded people and get together in ongoing groups and support each other. So now that we have this new structure and this new alliance, especially between ILiA and Cosmos Cooperative, we are moving closer toward Bett's dream. Let 1,000 support pods bloom. This was number 2. Bett was just telling us about the number 3, Larry O'Connor's support pod, which is meeting on, I forget which Monday of the month. Second Monday of the month at the same time, 4 o'clock on this channel. And that's Integral Leadership in Practice, which I wish I could join, but I have a conflict. So ILiA has existed for about 20 years. It formed in the heat of that first group of integralists people who literally moved to Boulder, many of them, to be near Ken Wilber in the early 2000s. A lot of wonderful stuff came out of that very fertile period, and a lot of people who are still very close, very important in the integral circles. That fell apart. There was a falling apart about 2007. ILiA continued, and it put on a number of events through about 2014, I believe, and then ILiA went dormant. But if I recall this correctly, Bett, you can correct me if I get any of this wrong. ILiA revived, I think it was 3 years ago at the What's the Future conference in Sedona. And Nomali apparently I wasn't there, Nomali talked about integral leadership, and ILiA brought in some younger, newer members like Bett, and ILiA took on a new lease on life. And we just had the most fantastic conference, Embodied Integral, 3-4 months ago in Boulder. Wow, that was transformative. And one of the things that happened there was that Bett and I met Marco Morelli. Marco Morelli is one of the, let me get me back to Zoom so I can see, one of the 4 co-authors of Integral Leadership in Practice, which is probably the book, if there are going to be one book that I give people about integral, it's this book. Marco Morelli is one of the 4 co-authors, along with Ken Wilber, Terry Patton, and Adam Leonard, Adam was also at the conference in April. So not only was Marco Morelli one of the co-authors of this, it also turns out, if you look closely, This is the other book I give people if you want a really quick, pretty, happy, easy, really easy, fast intro to get people intrigued. I mean, it's really a beautiful production, lots of beautiful graphics and so on. It turns out that Marco Morelli was the project coordinator. If you look at the back page, you see I think the text is all by Ken Wilber, but it's little excerpts, little snippets taken out of Ken Wilber's work that put together in this narrative, this coherent presentation of the Aqual metasystem. So Marco Morelli he was a project coordinator, it turns out. Okay, Marco Morelli. He wandered off out of the immediate circle around Ken Wilber to set up his own company called Cosmos Co-operative, which he started about 10 years ago. It's physically located in Longmont, where he lives, which is about 45 minutes away from Boulder. And this is an artists cooperative. So after I got to know Marco, and Bett and I got to know Marco at the conference in April, and I poked around their website and I went, this guy is an organizational genius. I see Roshana nodding. You've had some experience with this, have you? No?
But just seeing the website and being in that class with him for what, 4 weeks or something, he's a genius.
Yes, yes, that's right. I had met it earlier in a writer's. He did a four session writers workshop through Integral Life, and I joined in the second, and I actually presented a piece there. That's how Roshana and I got to know each other better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of had an idea that he was somebody I wanted to know going into that conference. And then, like Roshana, when I looked at his website, and I'll put up some links. I will encourage you to poke around if you're at all interested, because this isn't it is a real cooperative. And at this point, it's had 10 years to grow and mature. And anything that's creative, and you don't even have to define yourself as integral, but the kind of people who are looking toward see the world the way we do. Let's call it second tier. You may not have any idea what second tier is and still be second tier or moving into it. Doesn't count. And it's a very loose definition of integral that he follows. Their groups, they've done a lot of Gebser, they've done a lot of Sri Aurobindo. They also use the term integral. So Marco, I keep calling him Carlo. I must have known him as Carlo in a past life. Marco, he said he doesn't really identify with Ken Wilber's integral any longer, but he has a very solid base in it, as you can see. And he has gathered around him a really quite large community of creatives of all kinds, graphic artists, dancers, musicians, poets, writers of all stripes. They have local events in Longmont, and they're going to start in Boulder too. And they have a lot of Zoom online events. They have, I need to refer to my script again here. Don't want to miss anything. They have their own publication imprint, their own publication company. They have published 8 books so far. One of them just won an award, which I'll tell you about in a moment. They have 6 books in the works. They have an online magazine, which I have just published an article in, and I'll put a link to that too in a moment. And among many, many other things they do, they have an ongoing writers workshop, which I have now joined. There are 6 of us in it, and I have brought my integral novel in progress back online. And it's like, wow. So I am, wow. It's been dormant for 5 years, and the time has come, and I'm getting synchronicities up the wazoo, and it's kind of thrilling and a little scary, but it's good scary. So let me see, pull up the chat here, and let me see if I can succeed in posting. Yes, that's the link to the article I published, Black Widow Spider in 5 Dimensions, and I had a very good experience working with them. They have a team of editors for their magazine. They have a solid team for their books. They really work through and get your writing up to a publishable level. They still have some pieces they need to plug in, but as a small imprint goes, they're professional quality. and they are ambitious to expand. Marco, let's see, before I talk about their organization, let me just say they have just been won a $10,000 grant by an angel investor, which
Hmm.
they're looking into investing to really
100.
solidify their structure. 100,000.
100,000, not
100,000.
10,000.
I'm sorry, 100,000. I meant to say 100,000. And yeah, Bett's working with them on some of their projects. Michael McElhaney, who is one of the 6 board members of ILiA, is working very closely with them on governance, defining core values. They're further evolving themselves. And and I have to say, like Roshana, when I poked around their organizational structure, which they published, they're really into transparency. I was blown away. They've got some solid chops here. So I'm thrilled. I have found my nest, the perfect incubator for my novel, my integral novel in progress, which is going to take over my life by the end of the year. And what's thrilling for this group, the reason I'm going on and on about this is that this offers us as a writers group so many resources. They have besides their magazine, it's all online. So I now can say I'm a published author now. Yes, that's a big deal if you're looking to attract larger publishers down the line. They like to see, do you have things already published? The experience of working with them was very good. They have a stable of editors for both their magazine and their book company, and they work with you. And they help you find, they have graphic artists, just a moment, Gary, they have graphic artists and other artists who will help you find illustrations. Gary. Oh, you're muted.
What's the name of the magazine?
The name of the magazine is Metapsychosis. And actually, if you click on the link that I just posted, it'll take you to my publication there. But from there, you can go anywhere on the website. Ah, thank you, Bett. Woo. And the name of their book imprint is Untimely Books. And but what this larger corporation, I encourage you to get on the website and just poke around, because graphic artists, poets, musicians, all interesting music. At any rate, they have a cornucopia of possible resources for a writer support pod like us. Now, ILiA has some things also to offer Cosmos Co-operative. Bett and Michael are working on that. That doesn't concern our little group so much, although if you're curious and you want to ask me about it, great. So our question today, and let me go back to my script here. Oh, yes, I want to do another shout out here. 2 of their 8 published books have received awards, and this is a very small press imprint. So Lisa Morosky, who's joined us a couple of times, she published her book, Embracing Paradox, Evolving Language, Expressing the Unity and Complexity of Integral Consciousness. And it's a fairly dense philosophical approach to, just evolving our language to express, well, we'll call it second-tier concepts. We need whole new ways of thinking and whole new ways of using language to talk about some of the things we're trying to talk about. And Lisa has explored this in her book. Well, her book was awarded the Gold Nautilus Book Award in the category of, quote, World Cultures, Transformational Growth and Development. It also got a special honors award for Best in Small Press, which is, in a sense, an award for Untimely Books, which is Cosmos Co-operative. And this recognition comes from Nautilus Book Awards. This is one of the approaches for people like us as we I'm going to digress just for a few minutes, but as we look to get our works out in the world, of course, fewer and fewer of us are going to the traditional big publishers. There's self-publishing, there's Amazon, other venues, there's hybrid publishing. There are so many different paths. It's very easy to get our work, quote, published, but then for most of these new ways, we have to do the marketing distribution ourselves. It's on us. And Lisa must have done some hustling. And I'm going to be inviting her to come do a presentation here. What was her path? See, I've got a list now of 6 people who could do presentations for things like this. What was her path to getting her book published and getting that award? What all did she go through to get there? There are resources that can teach us how to do these things. I mean, I have a book I can recommend called The Business of Being a Writer. These are the sorts of things we can be exploring together in this group if we want to. Let me just let me just post. This is Lisa's, let me just see.
I posted Lisa's book.
Oh, you did. Very good.
Yep.
That's her. Okay, good. So that's her award. It's the announcement in their magazine about Lisa getting the award. And that's also a venue into just exploring the whole Cosmos Cooperative website. So let's see, where was I? Back to my script. Up. That's not what I wanted. Here we go. So Marco knows, Marco's amazing. He knows that they have a very tight organization where they can start putting out products and helping and supporting their authors to get results like this. But mostly we still have to go out and do the hustling. And we're going to be looking at having coaching some of the authors how to do this. But also with this new grant, we're looking at just developing resources. There are many ways to get our work out there. And with the resources of Cosmos Cooperative, we can help each other find the ones that are most congenial to ourselves. In fact, when I took the course from Jane Friedman, who wrote The Business of Being a Writer, said there are 20 to 25 different things we can do to promote ourselves and distribute our books. Her advice was pick the 2 to 3 that are most congenial to you and focus on those. Don't try to flog yourself to do the ones that are not congenial. So, but we can supply pieces to each other with this. Okay, I get kind of excited when I think about this. I'm going to talk to you just about, let's see, yeah, one more dimension of this, and then I'm going to throw this open to just comments, questions, further discussion. There is even 2 more levels to this that excite me here about the landscapes of possibility they're opening in front of us. One is that Marco went to, actually, I'm going to back up a bit. Some of you know Tom Cross, excuse me. Could you shut the door, please? Bill. Sorry. Sorry, we've got a contractor drilling holes in our basement there, and Bill forgot I was online. So for those, I know Roshana and Bett were at the Future Human Conference in Denver a year ago. And that's ICON, that's the company, the organization, Tom Habib and his company that is going to be holding a big integral conference in North America every other year in collaboration with the IEC, which is the big European Integral Conference. He and Ben Sagante are collaborating. The idea there, one of the ideas is not just to hold conferences, but to host a network that finds like-minded, simpatico people and groups and creates a network, a communication network where people like us can find each other and support each other. I'm on the committee for that. Although there are other people who are going to do that better, but the idea is that we can find each other, connect with each other, support each other. And now with these support pods, Bett's support pods provides a very precise structure where groups, and Bett's working on her template where you can pick up and start a group. Okay, we find each other through these networks. We have a way to do something about it in a format that we can get started quickly. So that's the connection through ICON and IEC. So we have tendrils in that world too. And then the exciting part is that that's the further one. We were able to send Marco of Cosmos Co-operative over to Europe for the IEC conference just a month or two ago. And he made further contacts with Ben Sagante there. And they are Tom Habib and Ben Sagante and now Marco, they've connected. And there's a group called GIA Global Integral Alliance where they are forming a global network. They've already allied with Integral Africa and Integral South America to form a global network. Right. And they have started with a common platform, a mission statement. They've started very basic. This is just not even alpha test yet. This is still in draft. But the idea is to have a network whereby groups can co-promote each other's products, writing, and events, and disseminate them with shared mailing lists while protecting the integrity and sovereignty of mailing lists. And they have a very specific statement about that. So what we have is in still somewhat embryonic form, but a global network, and Marco's at the heart of it. Marco of Cosmos Co-operative is at the heart of it. So what we have here, friends and neighbors, for those of us who want to be publishing our things some days, is the possibility of going to a bigger publisher or growing Cosmos Co-operative to be a bigger publisher and say, look, we have our own distribution of XXX thousand people. So this is just still in the early stages here. And this is where I start hyperventilating a bit like Bett. This is where I get as excited as Bett gets. So that's the larger context. I like big pictures and larger contexts. And with that, that's pretty much the substance of my presentation to give you a hint of the larger landscape we are now operating in and gently bring this back to our own support pod. And the question becomes, whither our support pod? And I have a few more words to say about that, but I see Gary, you have your hand up again.
Just a quick question. All the different organizations you named, I didn't hear Integral Life, and I don't know if there's a particular reason for that.
Wahaha, I'm glad you asked. They're not in there yet. I have my eyes on them. They're not going to get away. I actually see going through let's see, I am Rob Smith's. I'd like to connect with them at some point. I haven't seen an opening yet. I watch for opportunistic openings. And I will continue. I do have a bit of a connection with sorry, I've seen
Namali.
Namali, yes. I'm holding back for some other. I go by intuition as much as I do by reason and logic, and I'm feeling to hold back on that yet. I think we need to be a little more fully formed before we reach out to Namali. But I definitely see us connecting with Integral Life. In fact, some of the stuff we did behind the scenes, both at, well, not so much at Embodied Integral, but behind the scenes last year at Future Human, some of that was establishing really good diplomatic relationships between ICON and Integral Life. There's a little bit of history there that will require a little bit of diplomacy.
I can share also if anyone wants to know.
Please.
Yes, please.
Go for it.
Well, Namali has been a big supporter of ILiA. I think she may have been in ILiA at some point, but she really helped a lot with Embodied Integral, and she brought a lot of people, and we really appreciate that. And yeah, so we get along really well with Namali. So I think that's always like a good thing. She's always excited about what we're up to and keeping up. So I think it's a really good call, Gary.
Excellent call. So Bett, I think you're the person to take point on that, because the relationship between Namali and ICON is a little more fraught.
It might be, but we're not going to talk about it.
No,
Also,
you're
Tyler,
totally.
I'm not going to talk about it at all. But
You are a
Tyler
totally
is
different
the
thing.
main person that talks to Molly because Namali thinks I'm too old. Namali has a young integral person, and I'm almost 50 people. So yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
might look
Tyler.
young, but doesn't care about what looks young. It's only the age. Anyways, if there's any sarcasm in this video, it's real. Okay. So
Good.
moving
Good.
on.
Tyler is
Moving
the person.
on.
Tyler
and
is our
Namali
approach to
are like
Namali.
this. Yep.
Good. And
Yep.
I'm also
Like
keeping my
this.
eye on Integral for Applied Meta Theory with Rob Smith.
It's another interesting thing. I totally did a deep dive on their website the other day.
Mhm.
And yeah, it seems like they're doing a lot of really cool things. So that's
They are, but they are like the opposite of us on the four quadrants.
right.
We're more upper left and they're very lower right. I keep
Weird.
watching. I'm on his mailing list. He knows who I am. But it's all very focused and very systems. And there's no, I have yet to see the opening. But as soon as I do, I mean, I have one shot with Rob. I mean, he knows who I am. We've had some good interactions. So I'm the point person, but I'm waiting for the right opening. But when, yeah.
Okay, so I would love to just do a tiny, you said you were going to throw it over to me at some point.
Yes.
Gary, did you get your question answered though?
Hmm?
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right. So a few things from ILiA's point of view. ILiA is working on a partnership with Cosmos. So Michael's got point on that. Michael's been on the board for many, 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 many years. And so he's bringing that rich depth. And so I don't have an update on that, but that's what's happening with that. And then I know that Tyler is working closely with Tom on trying to help what's next for Icon. So that's like a little touch point on that one. And let's see, any other. So the vision for support pods is that we're about action. Okay. We're about action. And it's hard for us because we love diagrams. And this is like, my heart is about diagrams and it's really hard for me. So I do need to hold the line on that one, but I do fail very often. And I hope you guys are going to support me and not looking at another diagram. But we're about action. So we really need to be out there. All of us should be doing the work in the world. And then we come together to support each other. Right. So that's really that's why this is different than a lot of other organizations out there where it's maybe doing theory or, panels on whatever, it's just theory, but we're not about the theory. ILiA is different because we're about the action. And so we're supporting leaders who are doing the work. Yeah, it is very exciting. And that's why I joined ILiA specifically, is because I could see that this is a different kind of organization than a lot of the other ones. So there's a lot of organizations that are really just about hanging out and having fun, which is, by the way, I love that. And I need that. We all need that. We all need all these organizations, right? But when we want to just present a project that we're doing, we're writing this paper, we have like the 3 voices of Integral, like the one that Jane did a few months ago, whenever that was, it was so good. Right? Like how to apply things to work, to projects, to getting the mission into the world, whatever that means for all of us. That's really what the Integral Leadership and Action Support Pods are about. So we want to make sure we're not devolving into another, like, let's look at diagrams together and talk about them, which, by the way, I love. I'm all about it. And that's what's hard for me. Yeah, so I think one other quick thing is the 3rd Monday of this month, I'm going to be doing a bigger picture visioning of where we're going with support pods. So if you guys want to join that. So if you have, like, you guys all love writing, but maybe you also have something else you're doing that you could think of, like, hey, I want to get involved. Also, we need support pods in different time zones. Unfortunately, we're just this time zone, whatever this time slot is, it's very ethnocentric, I guess. We don't want to be that. We want to have support pods in different time zones across the planet. I also I don't know, weekend support, but whatever. Let's just get out of this one little time slot and enjoy more time slots. Okay, I'm done. Karen, over to you.
Okay. So Happy to discuss any aspects of any of this you want, but I want to bring it back to the real point of this meeting, which is this support pod, Integral Creative Writers Support Pod. Where do we, given these new avenues that are opening, where do we want to take it? My idea, and unfortunately Jane could not make it today, but Jane has she is trained to be a book coach, which means helping coach people who have the book in their heads and they want to get it out. And so I think this would be a perfect way to shape this support pod around Jane and what she has to offer. And she showed us what she has to offer with her presentation last month, those exercises on the 3 voices. And in fact, I just had a wonderful meeting with her and with Nish and Marie Murtag. She's coaching them on their book, and I may be going in to help with some of the editing. But I'm going to be connecting her with the Cosmos Cooperative too, because I think she has a lot to offer them, and they could offer her exactly the kinds of projects that she trained to become a book coach for. That's her passion. So she's going to be in the loop too, and we'll see what Jane has a voice in this, and I haven't had a chance I haven't heard back from her, but I'm kind of pitching that this time slot right here could be Jane's book coach support pod, and we shape that around what she most wants to offer, and those of us who have how we fit into that. That's my idea for the support pod. Jane will have a lot to say, but that's the kind of the last pebble I wanted to drop into this pond. And now I'd like to hear from you folks. What's sparking in you as you listen to this?
Well, I'm curious to know, how are you seeing this support pod with Cosmos? How are you seeing us interacting?
Because ILiA and Cosmos Cooperative are collaborating very intimately at this point. They are always going to be separate organizations, but they each have a whole lot to offer each other. ILiA has some pieces that Cosmos does not. For one thing, a 501c3 corporate status, which means they can handle money in ways that Cosmos Cooperative cannot. They have all the resources for us. I imagine the support pods remaining a function of ILiA. ILiA is the sponsor of the support pods, but then we have these intimate interconnections with Cosmos Cooperative and a lot of back and forth. And some of us, like me and Bett and Michael, are going to be operating in both. At some point, I imagine there will be support pods that are formally sponsored by both. That's down the line. We may need slightly different templates for those. But the template that Bett is creating will mean it's easy to start a support pod if you have an idea, but then we have that immediate access into this huge basket of what resources that Cosmos offers. The professional writers, the graphic artists, the designers. I mean, the illustrations, Bett did some lovely graphic illustrations for my Black Widow spider in 5 dimensions. And that carried us for how long? About a year. That's been up on my website. But then when they accepted that for publication in their in-house magazine, Metapsychosis, they got somebody there who picked some illustration, besides going through a very professional level editing process, which made my essay much even better. But they also picked some formal illustrations that took it up yet another level. So they have, and they have graphic artists there too. I mean, Rashawn, I know you're a graphic artist, or you. But so there are a lot of there's this huge basket of resources that they have for us as an ILiA support pod. We can draw on their resources, and at this time, it's an exchange of labor where we support each other. But we do have the organizational structure to be handling money at some point if we choose to do that.
Okay, I want to share a little bit about this. So ILiA is thinking a lot about classes, education, events, like having these face-to-face events like we did in Boulder. So doing education, maybe online, very practical leadership classes for people who are like maybe getting into Integral new or maybe never even heard of Integral. So that's one thing ILiA is planning to do. And then Cosmos has a lot of courses. So the ideas are like ILiA could create classes for Cosmos members. And then maybe from that, we create a support pod. You know, so there's like a lot of different kind of ways that we can go back and forth. By the way, I pasted the template into here that has been alluded to many
Thank you.
times. So you guys can
Thank
actually
you.
see what that template looks like, so that it's not so vague in the mind. The other thing, so Gary asked me a very specific question, which is brainstorming. What other support pods does the world need? Right? I think that's a good question. And something that I want to share, I actually have a little video on the support pod webpage that I shared, and this is a story that really blew my mind. There's this person that is a leader of an organization that I'm kind of involved in. I have a certification from it. If I tell too many details, you guys are gonna be able to go look it up, and I don't want you to look it up because it's a secret. But I found out that this guy who is under 30 and is like probably a billionaire at this point, who is running this incredible organization. I'm watching him and he's doing incredible things, like this network across the planet of the top people in this thing. And I can't tell you what it is because you go look it up. He's part of a cult. Okay. I'm again not going to tell the cult because I don't want people to go look it up. His life would be ruined. Honestly, his life would be ruined if anyone found out. And I found out like in a back corner, like someone said, like, did you know that he's part of this cult? And I'm like, what? Anyways, I'm like, how did this guy get so good? It's because he's a network. He has a network of people who are helping him so much, because this is like the who's who of extremely rich people in the world. You guys probably know who I'm talking about. Don't say it. I'm not saying it. It is the who's who of the richest people in the world, and they're all helping their leaders get ahead. And so why can't we have that integral? Why do we have to join some horrible, really terrible cult to get ahead? We don't need that. We have integral, which is also a cult. So that's what I really want to make, that we know what the work where each of us is doing, and we're here to push and prod and help and encourage and whatever
Support.
that is. Support is the word. But it's like, you know, if you need to hire somebody, this is my example. Like, I need to get my stairs repaired. I want to hire someone who I know, who I trust, someone that my friend recommended, right? It's like we all have these jobs we need. Like Karen needs her website updated, and so she's hired the best person possible, which is me.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if we all have things we need from each other and we have this network, and now we can all help each other. It's something that we used to have back in the village or in churches. I know some of you guys do go to church, so you have that. But it's that network of just support people who are on your side, that have the same values, who can help each other. So that's really what I'm trying to make around the globe with the support pods. So that's the vision. And this visioning thing that's going to happen on the 3rd is just the 3rd Monday is really just flushing that out and asking what other support pods do we need. And I can also go over the whole process with that template of who's your audience, who do you want to bring in, and then I do all the editing and the posting, and I'm putting things on LinkedIn, I'm putting things on Facebook. If other people have other ideas about where we can post these to help reach other networks, that would be really good. But anyways, Gary, does that help a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
Yes, the term that I like is force multipliers. Each of us, I think of each of us, our whatever project it is or thing we want to get out in the world, that's our rocket launch. But while we're building our own rocket, my rocket can be not just my individual rocket, I can be boosting somebody else's rocket, and their rocket is boosting my rocket. We are force multipliers for each other when we collaborate like this, like people in villages or in churches where they're close knit. communities that where people support each other and have each other's backs thrive. Communities where people are in competition and try to take each other down for dominance. In the long run, they can't compete against communities where people really have each other's backs. And now with our networking capacity in today's world, OMG, what becomes possible? Yeah. And we have our second tier values here, right? We know how to work on our shadows, right? It's a theory. It's a theory. But I just I like to do the crazy visionary thing. I mean, this gets into what Ken Wilber says in some of his more abstruse stuff, but we are laying down the grooves along which the tracks will run into an integral future, the future that we want to see on the planet. We're co-creating the future by what we're doing with our individual personal projects. And I'm going to quote, I'm going to go Unitarian Universalist here, quoting a theologian from the last century. The place God calls you to is the place where your deep joy and the world's deep hunger meet. So these projects, when we think, well, I'm really just kind of being self-indulgent by doing my music or my visual arts. And I say, no, we are co-creating the future, a future that we want ourselves and our descendants to live in. It's important that we bring this out into the world and that we help each other. So that's my little motivational speech there.
All right, so we still have about 8 minutes left. Does anyone have any other thoughts or, ways that we can think about moving back and forth? Gary.
So one of the things that I've been, Karen and I worked on a project with her UU Church together, and we picked not a very particularly good book of Wilbur's to use for this introduction to integral theory. It's his book called A History.
It was a theory of everything.
A Theory of Everything. Yeah, not brief history, but A Theory of Everything. It's a shorter book. I thought it was a little more succinct, and I was wrong.
Well, it is more succinct than his other books.
But it's all. But he can mess up a lot of things. So anyway, one of the concepts that Karen and I talked about in 2 or 3 of our preparation sessions was, I feel like there's a nut that I'm trying to crack. And this nut is when I discovered integral, it was like the world opened up for me. And what I don't understand is why that doesn't happen for other people. And that's the nut that I'm trying to figure out. It's what I try to write about in my Substack and those things, but there's got to be, I'm still searching for this thing that makes people go, oh, that's how all these things are connected with each other. And starting to see that kind of invisible architecture that's out there in the world. And so that's how, in a way, that's what I would see as being part of a support pod that I'd be interested in. And because it's so oriented towards introducing people to integral, in many ways, it's a tier 1 support pod, because you're introducing them to a concept that's fairly new. And for some of those people, they might be, fairly young and not necessarily that far along in the whole process.
Well, you know what? I really like this. And so I grew up in the church, Gary, the Christian, conservative, evangelical, Orthodox Presbyterian church. And what we would call this is seeker friendly.
Say that again.
seeker friendly.
Uh-huh.
You know, you bring them in for the cookies and the Kool-Aid, and you have a band, and everyone's really pretty, and they're jumping around, they're having fun, and everyone's like, oh, this church thing could be cool, you know, and then you hook them with like, Jesus. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So I like it. I like it, Gary. The thing is, I've been around missionaries for a long time, and I get a little exhausted of missionary work. It's coercive in a lot of ways. And my dad is a pastor, was a pastor. I don't really know if he's retired or not, but he would tell me like, Bet, have you saved that friend of yours yet? And I'm like, that's not how it works. I am just a pure friend. I'm not trying to sell them Amway or something. You know what I mean? Anyways, Gary, those are some thoughts, but I would love to brainstorm with you more on this concept. Because
Yeah.
I just actually had this happen. Karen, we're going to get to you in 1 second. I promise. I just had this happen. I have this friend for, 15, 16 years, maybe more than that. Brilliant. I mean, he is 55. I don't really know how old he is. He's brilliant. He's a C something, CTO, CFO. I don't know what he is. And I just told him, he asked me after reading my Substack, he's like, how do people evolve? And I was like, oh, you should hear about spiral dynamics. And so he read the Don Beck book.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, his brain, I can hear it. His brain is like, oh, this is really interesting. But he's still like, he's not fully convinced, which is great. You know, I don't think we want like, you know, drones. Anyways, he's never heard it. He's like, I'm 55 something and I don't know about this. How did I not know about this? So I
Right.
think, Gary, it's something needed. I do think
Yes.
so. So Karen,
Yes, in fact, that was a really great experience with Gary. That session, we had what, 8 sessions, I think, for our UU Wilbur reading group. And I thought it was a success. It's not what the church wants right now. They want to leap. These are Unitarian. They want to leap into action. Good for them. They're doing some wonderful things out in the world, and I'm supporting. But Gary, we decided that book was not the best book. What I would love to see, Gary, is your Substack. Gary has a series of articles on Integral on Substack, which would be a wonderful basis. Gary put a lot of work into organizing this. It was really well organized. And so I would, instead of doing something written by Wilbur himself, which Wilbur's hard to read. I had a discussion with Jane Friedman about Wilbur. Oh my God, Wilbur's prose. But Gary's Substack articles and with snippets of other things, maybe this to get you started, maybe not. But I would love to see Gary put together something that what were you thinking of it like people who are new to Wilbur and are interested and want to understand what this is. I would love to see Gary do something with his Substack articles, build something around those because I think they're some of the best introductory pieces I've seen. You know, put in maybe a chapter or two from spiral dynamics, bring in other material. But
Well, integral life practice too.
Yes,
Strangely enough, in that book, I've found little segments that are some of the best descriptions,
agreed.
very basic concepts that I've seen in any of the books.
Agreed.
Which is, I mean, the book is about practice, but the foundational theoretical stuff in there is often just nice and clear and crisp.
Right. And Gary has the patience. I saw how he did it with our 8-week UU Wilbur course to select the pieces, cut them out, make them available in sequence, and then discuss them. Gary, if you wanted to pick up a project like that, I would support it wholeheartedly. I think.
Well, we'll see. I'm dealing with some health issues, so
Yeah,
I have to have enough energy for this.
I
hear you.
read your LinkedIn, your Substack. By the way, you guys all need to read my Substack too. Let's all share our Substack links.
Okay.
That's a
Yeah,
good way we can support each other.
Yes, indeed.
Roshana has one too.
Yeah, I've barely put anything up there. I have all my stuff on Medium. I just haven't moved it over yet.
Okay.
But I have a few on Substack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm having a lot of fun. I'm publishing every Monday at 4:30 a.m.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, my latest one is called How Pretending You're Training an AI Can Make You a Better Leader.
Nice.
I had a lot of fun with that one.
Is this my link to Substack?
I'll click it. Let's
Yeah,
see.
it is. Okay.
Ooh, a 40-page paper that summarizes Wilbur.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, Jen, we haven't heard from you. Go.
Yeah, there's a 40-page paper which I I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
But that summarizes integral theory. The Wilbur wrote it himself, but I think it's pretty good. It's been around for 20 years. But yeah, it's
Okay.
on integral life.
Okay.
It-
As a
you
PDF,
know,
do you know?
um,
Do you know?
yeah, I'd have to look it up. I just don't know what it is off the top. I used to have a bookmark for it, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
All
okay.
right.
Thank you, Roshana.
We've come to the end of another whole meeting. Can you believe that? Another
Amazing.
one in the books. All right, it's been so fun seeing everyone, hearing everyone's
Yeah.
voices today. And we had someone named Regina join, but Regina didn't say anything. Do you want to say anything?
Hi, sorry I'm not able to come on video. I'm actually sneaking a little time at work. But yeah, I got involved with Integral years ago. I actually worked at II. I live in Boulder,
Whoa.
but I got away from it for a big long time. And I've been through, I say that I've never been able to read a whole Ken book, but I've come to my integralness through my life experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, and Roshana, we know each other.
Yes.
It's been a while, but
Yes.
yeah, I think it was, what was it? What's next or what next?
A long
And
time
your
ago.
son was here and I met your son, and yeah, that was a great time.
Wow.
But Karen, I somehow came across this email from the ILiA thing, and I listened to something that you did, and I got a little bit of a bug in me about wanting to write a book. I'm not a writer, at least I haven't been, but I'm very encouraged to, and maybe it's going to be a YA kind of book,
Uh-huh.
and kind of and I even started working with I don't know if this is kosher or not, but I started working with ChatGPT a little bit, and I said,
Sure.
yeah,
Sure.
how am I gonna so yeah, I'm very much at the beginning of it all, but just feels serendipitous timing.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
I
we're all about. We're all about it. So come again. We're going to be meeting every first Monday. And Karen has a bunch of speakers lined up. I haven't heard who they are, but she's alluded to them. So I'm hoping
Yeah.
she's going to email me that soon.
We
Karen.
will be nailing this down.
Nice. Nice.
All right,
Thank
everyone, have a
you.
great month, and maybe I'll see you at one of the other ones. Maybe I'll see, I mean, I won't see you, but maybe you can join the integral life practices one, which I think is going to be really, really good.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, have a great month. Bye.
Thanks
Bye.
for
Thank you.
coming.
everyone.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Karen.